I was chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye big sky. Far away but dreaming of your ocean eyes.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's matchup between the Rogue Warriors and LGD. This is the off-air series, at least for English. There is, of course, a feed for the Chinese viewers, but there isn't for us English folk here in NA and EU, so that is where me and Sin come in. I'm Alexander Opal-Archambault. Joining me for the cast is Stuart Sin McLeod. Sin, how you doing tonight? Yeah, as always, we get into the matches very quickly, so we don't really have a whole lot of time for the introductions. We just like getting straight into our games. Tonight's matchup, Rogue Warriors going against LGD. LGD, they're trying to look to succeed upon their success. They did last matchup against RNG where they upset them in a 2-1 victory of that series, and we're going to go ahead and get right into our champion select. Rogue Warriors, off the top of my head, are going to be banning away the Camille, the Alistair, and that Malzahar. And this was kind of what allowed LGD, at least in their last series, that Malzahar in particular, to really make proactive plays and find themselves early leads. Oh.
Trying to deny that proactivity from Nanzu, which we know was where he found a lot of strength against RNG. He was the focus. It was wherever he went was where the plays happened.
I'm sorry, Sin, I was trolling you this entire time. We didn't have your feed coming in through the board, apparently, so a thousand apologies for those quick introductions.
Oh, no.
So, you guys didn't hear out Sin for that whole entire part, but yes, it was kind of just a reassurance that Malzahar was key in LGD's victory. But let's actually take a look at some of these picks coming on through. For Rogue Warriors, Mouse going to be getting that gangplank up in the top lane, and Flawless said of, actually this is kind of a new one, Jarvan making it through both first picks on each side. He's actually going to get that for himself in the second rotation. On top of that, they're also going to pick up the Caitlyn for SMLZ.
Yeah, they were prioritizing comfort on both the ADC and the mid laner instead. Nanzu going back to that Rise, which again he had success on in the previous series, and Imp having this Varus banned away from him so often because this is what he will play every single game should you give him the option. For SMLZ to go for the Caitlyn into it, though, is interesting. We're seeing a lot more Caitlyn rising up in China, and last time we saw it was, in fact, Imp, and he played it really well in that series and won the game with it. So it's whether he can be lane dominant enough and get to that late game where we know she can be a great hyper carry threat.
I want to see how well he does play, because this is actually him showing the Caitlyn for the first time in the season. He's played the Kalista, the Ezreal, and has also had a splash with the Kog'Maw, so now opening up the champion pool a little bit again. Following up that's going to be a Karma likely going in that mid lane, and then with
the W2D special.
The W2D special, going to be a tanky Karma, but on top of that, it's going to be likely that Shen in support.
Yeah, Shen's support been so strong in the past with the ability to get the aftershock early on, those really early trades, and this is actually interesting here. The Riven. This is a really low-key counter pick to the Gangplank, and it's so effective at bullying him out of lane, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Jinnu can pilot this pick, because it's one that can really pop off and destroy the game. Also, the Ignite early on, but this could be an unsealed spellbook setup where you go for that Ignite to try and get that level 2 kill, really early level kill, then you can switch back to the TP should you need later on to exist in a side lane.
And I feel like for LGD, this kind of fits the playstyle in which they found their victories. Be threatening in the lanes, try and get early advantages, and then just try and carry that on into the mid game, and then try and close out the game around that 30-minute mark.
This is going to be an interesting one here, and I have to really think about how Jinnu is going to be building this one in the current patch, because obviously lethality was nerfed fairly recently, and you want to be able to take out as many members as possible. There's going to be a fair amount of armor that is available for all of these members, and it's whether she can get a snowball rolling in the early game, because should it get to the 15-20 minute mark, and Riven's still sitting 0-0-0, she's already failed. So it's such a risky pick where you have to be playing around it, you have to be willing to make the plays. But with, as we said, with previous series against RNG, Nanzu showed that he is willing to be that player. He is willing to roam around the map and help make those plays on the map. But that's really not to say that Doenby is any less of that. He is doing exactly the same thing. And picking a mid lane controlling pick like Karma, who can wave clear so effectively, is going to deny Nanzu a lot of pressure.
And for Rogue Warriors, this is kind of more shifting a lot more of their, eggs in the basket onto their ADC, onto this gangplank up in top lane. You're trying to protect the Caitlyn with the shields, with that Shen ultimate, so he can carry these fights and hopefully survive through any kind of burst potential that might come out from LGD.
Oh, the flashy Mercedes logo. But...
Gotta love it. You gotta love that Mercedes logo. You also gotta love seeing that in-game camera coming on through as we're gonna go ahead and load on into the Rift for Game 1 between the Rogue Warriors and LGD. We're gonna be starting off with a Cloud Drake.
It's rotational plays coming through. Not gonna see an Inferno as we've been seeing so often in these Chinese games. Rogue Warriors having been so lucky. In fact, I think most of their games they've ended up having an Inferno.
Well, the guys behind the scenes running the server, they haven't tweaked an Infernal Drake, it seems. We were wondering,
Chinese RNG.
The Chinese RNG has been loving those Infernal Drakes, but maybe we won't be seeing that much action. But we do expect it to come out from LGD. They want to try and make an impact early, or else, like you mentioned, this Riven will at some point fall off.
Interesting to see that she has gone for the Doran shield, though, going for a more defensive early setup.
I feel like you almost have to in this scenario because you have someone like a Jarvan that can be a threat rather early into the game.
It's interesting to see that you're choosing to go for that over the Doran's Blade, which obviously gives you some health. The Doran's shield known more for its ability to give you sustain from being poked out, rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to survive a gank. It's more the stopwatch that you'd be looking at for surviving a gank from the Jarvan.
Well, you did mention that Unbound spellbook. It is going to be that, as she is running the Ignite in the lane. Maybe she can try and find an early kill. As you can see, the fan vote now popping up on your screen. 57-43, the LGD fan. The faith has returned. They had some low numbers in the RNG series, but maybe they turned around some of their followers. They got the faith back. They said, you know what, if you don't have faith, why are you even here, people? And then they made sure to turn that on their heads.
Yeah, it's got to give a lot of faith when the first series you win is against one of the biggest teams in the region in RNG, one of those teams that got to keep its fan base in Shanghai and stay there. If you heard Clement saying recently on the analyst desk, they actually decided where the teams were going to be moved to based on their playoff positioning. If you're consistently a playoff team, you got to keep your fan base in Shanghai. If you weren't and you were getting a stadium, they kind of exiled you, and that's what happened to LGD.
They kind of took away their local fans. They weren't able to stick around and watch those games, but maybe they got some new fans over in their new arena, so... You can't argue with that. We can, though, see, and I wish I could argue with this, 5 stopwatches across the board for LGD, all splashing.
It's the LGD special.
Splashing into the inspiration tree, maybe looking for some dives or maybe looking for some safety. Not going to beat our peak 9 stopwatches, though. I see we only have 8 this time around.
Yeah, we commonly see this 5 stopwatch setup from LGD, so something obviously they really respect. It's really weird seeing this traditional Sejuani, but... Flawless is going to be trying to pressure out her own jungle. Just make sure she loses some of these Krugs and gets a little bit of gold loss.
Well, that's the thing we've seen about the Sejuani is a lot of teams don't do it in particular is when they have an aggressive jungler, they don't try and look to force out the Sejuani, especially when you have your lanes pushing like this. This actually has a lot of safety for Flawless to do this. Yeah,
it's really been the thing for Sejuani recently that she's not punished by these early aggressive junglers because... they're busy looking towards the lanes. There's been very little invades happening right now in the current meta. We're seeing occasional Lee Sins go in at level 2, level 3. But beyond that, it's really just, okay, let's evenly trade across the map. You're going to take my Krugs, I take your Krugs. We go even. They acknowledge and trade based on their positioning, instead of actually actively damage trading with the jungler.
And we can see even those player stats now coming up across the board. This is kind of a concerning one for me. Look at Imp's damage per minute, sitting 12th in the league compared to SMLZ. It kind of shows, because LGD, a lot of the times we do see them focus a lot of their resources around Imp to try and get him rolling.
Yeah, it's definitely where they found a lot of success last week, and we talked a little bit in the pregame about this, but last week they did kind of get handed an early game advantage where it ended up after the level 2 mark. Imp was 2-0-1 already. So he ended up finding that game a lot easier. That's going to pad that damage per minute stat. So it looks even worse when you think about how padded those stats are from the win against RNG last week. That was, I think prior to that, how the stats would have been.
And that is also not even that is also factoring in the 0-4 Sivir game he had earlier on in that series, where he was greatly punished for the pick. He tried to even go toe-to-toe with an Ezreal multiple occasions. He just got punished for it.
Oh, and yeah, that was a really strong Ezreal.
No, it was a bit disgusting. When you give 2 kills on Ezreal with Kleptomancy, you're already looking down. You're looking at your champ select for game 2 if you're the coach there, because that was was a difficult one to come back into. You can see already that early vision coming in from LGD, just trying to provide some safety now that their top lane has had the ability to try and push in this gangplank, which is honestly what I kind of expected Mouse to allow him to do, to actually open up the Riven to some ganking.
So you were talking about the Kleptomancy a little bit before, and I want to go back to that because it's important to note we are still on the 8.1 patch. This is before the Kleptomancy nerf, so Gangplank is going to be getting full value from that in the top lane, which is going to keep him fairly even with Riven, as we see rather aggressive trading in the mid.
Yeah, DMB, he's trying to get some damage onto that rise. Flawless might come around the corner. Still no level 6 available for Nazu, but he just got it as the stopwatch is now available, and with that Gangplank ultimate, they still weren't able to finish him off. He will escape having to burn his flash, though. Doesn't have a teleport to get back in the lane. He wants to try and stay, but he almost gets taken down by the Mantra Q.
So close to taking him down there, but ends up standing on the side of it. He did have the stopwatch available, but chose not to use it there. Thought he was safe enough on his health bar. A little bit of a risky play, but it does pay off. He ends up
it was
getting
good
a
timing.
couple more CS and goes back. Yeah, he does have the ultimate now available if he wants to use that to get back to lane, but he still wants to probably hold on to that for the ult stopwatch combo, knowing that Flawless has been hovering around that mid lane so much.
And Killua, he isn't actually going to check this bush. He doesn't understand or even realize that Amy might be just hiding in there on the Sejuani. Flawless going to go clear out his Raptors. He will be spotted out as the two are going to meet in the jungle. And you can see Killua just looking to soak up the minions as much as they can, give SMLZ all the farm that he can possibly give.
Yeah, setting this one up quite well. It takes a lot of damage, but it is worth it for the lane control you gain from it and the ability to now freeze this wave in front of the tower as they should so choose. And I want to look at this mid lane because we've seen the strength of this Karma pick. It's been shutting down Nunzu's pressure so effectively. We normally see Ryze be a pick that around this sort of time in the game, he's going to the side lanes, he's trying to make a play. And
there you go. There's that level 6 from the Riven, and the stopwatch comes out from Mouse, but he has nowhere to run. He gets the orange, but it isn't going to be enough. First blood going on over to Jinu.
He didn't actually use his flash there. Jinu also had his flash, so he still was dead regardless. But that was so clean there from Jinu to be able to instantly turn on the moment he hits level 6. Sorry, the moment he uses his ultimate, rather. And he's really able to punish the Gangplank, and this is what we need to see consistently. More of exactly this, and it's just the start for Riven. We'll see if she can keep going now because she's got the teleport. She's switched the Ignite for the teleport. She can now try and pressure out a side lane.
Yeah, we get another quick look at this all in. Looks like Mouse isn't even ready for this. They're just farming, even the wave pushing toward the Riven, but even then, he's not ready.
He does end up hovering around here, just looking for the auto attack, but the orange comes through, heals him the extra amount. And little cheeky kill there for Riven in the top lane. That's the first blood. Big chunk of gold. Still has the stopwatch available should she be ganked, so she can continue to play aggressively, even with the potential of a gank from the Jarvan, because you can obviously use your gap closing abilities to be able to jump out of the Cataclysm, so that gives you a little bit more safety as well, should he come up to that top lane.
And this is kind of the issue you find with Gangplank. Once he does kind of get killed early, he kind of has to sit a little bit back. You don't want to play too aggressive now into this Riven, or else you're just going to get repeatedly dove and just killed in the lane at this point. You're going to really be waiting for Flawless on this Jarvan to make an appearance up in top lane.
I think if there was a stat for enemy jungle proximity for champions, Gangplank would have the highest, because he gets camped so hard. as the top laner. People acknowledge that his scaling is some of the best in the game. If you go for that crit route, you can one-shot carries pretty much with that barrel combo. You can completely change fights off of one ability.
Well, that's going to be the Cataclysm laid down by Flawless. The magic
Really nice
Q
route,
isn't going to land on through, but that route, like you mentioned, the Flash is going to get him just out of distance, but the Cannon Barrage comes down from Mouse, and that's going to secure the kill. Now that Rogue Warriors are finally up on the board, kills 1-1.
Low-key, sneaky steal there from him, and he's going to be...
He says, I need the
happy
gold,
to pick up that
guys.
kill for Gangplank in the top lane. Yeah, that's what the ultimate's for.
It's for kill securing, and Killua on the bot lane.
It's like playing Draven.
Yeah, exactly. Killua on the bot lane, he is going to engage, and that is going to be the turnaround possibly coming out from Imp and PYL. Heal is going to be blown. PYL is not going to be able to finish off that kill, but still the flash available for SMLZ on this Caitlyn. There is a Sejuani waiting in the wings, has that Glacial Prison available, decides against it. That will at least force Rogue Warriors bot lane to have to play a bit farther back, and honestly, I'd be shocked if they stick too much longer down here. They could get easily dived. Teleport's going to come on through on the Riven, and Amy is just going to come around. That's actually going to be the Rise coming on down, and actually the Shen ultimate used on top of Flawless of all people. Maybe not the right decision. They will answer at least 2 kills though in response by Rogue Warriors. Doomby now coming on over. Flag Drag is going to knock up the Rise, and that's going to be a double kill onto the Shen.
And it turns around for Rogue Warriors, but 2 kills onto the Shen, as you say, not really where you want the gold to be. Doinby turning up at the right time, having that Frost Queen's claim now completed, getting a big chunk of gold into his pocket, as you can see the replay here. SMLZ does pop the stopwatch to stay alive that little bit longer, but so well played from Flawless to keep so many members busy, keep them locked up for as long as possible here, to get Doinby the time to get in the fight. And, with that route available, just gonna lock down Nanzu for the final kill.
I was kind of interested there. Instead of using that Shen ultimate, decided to use it on the Jarvan, even though Flawless was rather healthy during that whole trade. So maybe could have saved SMLZ, maybe a possible misclick. Either way, though, Rogue Warriors are going to be happy with that trade down in bot lane. They're able to get some more kills back into their pockets. This Karma now sitting on the 1 kill and 3 assists, going to be able to start building up to more of those kind of support-based items and still be doing some damage.
Yeah, it's generally what we do see from her is the likes of the Athene, so that extra healing, but in the bot lane, again, constant aggressive trading. And this is not really what you expect when you think of the Relic Shield overheal meta, but it's working out for the side of Rogue Warriors as they're able to get a small CS lead for themselves, and they've got the vision pressure for the most part.
Going on the offense down in bot lane is something we don't see too often, at least across the board worldwide, as the LPL, I believe, does have the lowest average game time, and oddly enough, LCK being the ones that usually a region that is known for letting a team get an advantage early, something along the lines of a 3,000 to 5,000 gold lead. Honestly, most of the time the games would be closed out immediately, but this year so far, the LPL, the early aggression is what seems to pay off and get teams these early wins and allows them to have that low game time average.
And both of these teams, some of the bloodiest in the league, whether it's LGD having a game where they get killed 20 times, or having a game like last week against RNG where it was just constant scrappy back and forth. And Rogue Warriors on the other side, who have been having this constant skirmishing style. It's worked out effectively for both, but now Mao's on the top lane getting really chunked out again from Jinnu, and this is really well done to deny the barrels consistently as Riven. And with the way that your auto is working, the empowered auto attacks, it's so clean to be able to reset that auto perfectly to kill the barrel in the middle of your combo without missing a beat.
You also have the shield there to easily move around the lane rather fast, and even if you do mess up that combo, you're not going to be losing out too much in health, at least this early. That Gangplank still waiting on the Trinity Force to be completed. Actually went Ninja Tabby, so showing some respect toward the Riven.
So definitely what you want to be seeing from him, because he needs to be able to exist in a side lane. If he can't hold a side lane against Riven, then it has to be Doinby going 1v1 with Riven, and that's not really what you want when you've got a supportive build mid laner who's going to be building items to empower people like the Caitlyn. Having him 1v1 with the Riven, having that ability to shield people and buff people with things like the Ardent Sensor away from the 4-man unit is going to be so crucial if they can get Jinnu fed enough to the point where he completely eclipses Mouse.
He does have to be careful up in this top lane because it can always be turned around though by this Shen. The teleport coming on through with that shield. Also running Ignite, so if Jinnu is a little low in the trade, he would have to be careful. But up in top lane, it looks like Amy going to be looking to try and help him out. The Cannon Barrage comes on down, but that ain't going to be enough to save him as Sheshwani is going to end up picking up her second kill of the game. Rest of Rogue Warriors looking to rotate possibly up toward that top lane to prevent this tower from going on down. That's kind of a cool fact. Both these teams actually have not secured a first tower in any of their series. So someone's going to get
more about the kills than the towers. Willing to rotate and make a play top lane to be able to get a couple kills and then lose the mid lane tower off the back of it, as we've seen DoNB do on multiple occasions. And LGD on the other side, they did beat RNG, as we said, on 2 occasions to be able to win that series out, but they really struggled in most of their other games so far this season, and it's really, they got styled on. They allowed the enemy team to force them around the map to react to plays, and playing reactive has definitely not been working for LGD.
Well, Flawless going to be spotted out in his jungle, but PYL might be the one getting caught out. That's going to be the Stand United coming on down by Killua. The knockup's going to follow on through. PYL sitting low, but here comes a teleport onto that backline. But unfortunately for the Riven, having to flash away Jinnu, and it's going to be the 1 kill going on over to Imp in the end. Rogue Warriors, they look to try and catch out the support, but in the end, they end up losing their Jarvan in the jungle.
And so with the Jarvan falling there, it's his first death of the game, and he still holds 100% kill participation. He has been so crucial. And we talked about how good Flawless has been this season. In the past, he's had some issues with being caught out and going too aggressive. We see a little bit of that here, but now aggressive trading in the bot lane again. It's just constantly back and forth.
Imp is feeling a bit confident now in the matchup. Has that Rage Blade completed. The Caitlyn is still sitting on that kind of half item build. You got the Zeal items almost completed, and you got the BF Sword for the Infinity Edge. So can look to step up and actually do a decent chunk of damage if they don't respect him. So feeling confident up in top lane. You still see Jinnu, if he's able to get that full trade on down, that's going to get Mouse to just above half health. He's got to be careful in this lane, and honestly, we mentioned Flawless. He unfortunately isn't Flawless anymore as far as his kills score goes, but
Gangplank with Relic Shield.
That is a new one. That is a new one.
I've actually seen Coin top lane Gangplank in the past.
Okay.
It gives you some extra mana regen. Gives you some extra gold generation. And if a minion dies around you, you do get the extra ability to get that. But now in the mid lane, DoNB.
Yeah, DoNB, he's got to be a bit careful. Flag Drag is going to knock up the Rise. Flawless gets stunned up, but he's going to be able to back off toward his turret. He did have the Riven in the wings, maybe looking for a dive. Holds on to the ultimate. Killua also waiting on the river's edge, but in the end, nobody's going to be pulling the trigger. Instead, LGD going to roam up, secure some vision around that Rift Hill, get the Scuttle Crab for themselves, and maybe position themselves for a top lane dive.
Oh yeah, you can see it coming through here.
That's going to be the Realm Warp underneath the tower. Mousy has nowhere to go. He tries to take down at least one person, but it isn't going to be enough as Amy is going to be able just to scuttle along out of there with about 300 health, and that's going to be another kill now onto the Riven.
2-0-1, and this is the point where if you're Gangplank, you really start worrying about your ability to not only get to those later game item spikes, but to survive in the side lane. As we said, if they need to send DoNB to react to Jinnu, that 4-man unit becomes significantly weaker, and the ability to engage on them becomes much stronger with the Karma AoE shield there. So this is so important that Riven gets ahead and has this relevance now.
Well, this is scary too. You also gave over that first brick gold completely on to the Riven. Rogue Warriors, they do at least respond with one tower of their own, and they do have themselves a little bit of a gold lead just because of the CS differences in mid and in bot, making up for the lack of gold. At least you could say, at least you got a Kleptomancy Gangplank. It is making up for that CS difference up in top lane a little bit and giving Rogue Warriors this very small lead in the gold advantage. But LGD, they feel more powerful at the moment, and if the Riven is able to join the fights, it could be disaster for Rogue Warriors. You do see this in bot lane yet again. Killua, he's got to be careful of that Winter's Bite.
It's definitely a lot of pressure, but Jinnu coming in for the lane gank here could be brutal, but he is spotted on a ward.
Yeah, that ward paying dividends, as you can see, is spotting out that Riven. So Rogue Warriors bot lane won't be caught out, and Doinby won't be caught out himself as he's able to sidestep the Glacial Prison coming out from the Sejuani. Roots are going to land, but no one's going to be going down below even half health. LGD, though, still now roaming as a unit. With this Riven.
This is exactly what we're talking about. They constantly look for plays back to back.
This is going to be a 5-man dive in the bot lane. Flawless uses the Cataclysm, but he won't be able to do much else as he gets trapped underneath his tower. Jinnu also picking up the kill on SMLZ and going to go TP all the way up to the top lane tower to actually save it and maybe go aggressive onto Mouse. Going to be looking to hunt him on down. Lands the knock up, make it the stun. Mouse going to go toe to toe. Will he be able to do anything? But a beautiful barrel cancel comes out from Jinnu, and Mouse is just getting shredded in the river. Beautiful display on the Riven.
This is exactly what we're talking about when LGD play proactive. They can absolutely destroy an opponent. It's Riven looking for their lane gank instantly when that doesn't work. They look for the play onto Doinby. They force Doinby out, force him to go back to base. Instantly afterwards, when they don't get the kill, they're roaming as 5 down to the bot lane. And the moment they get that kill, the moment they're done and they're forcing back to the tower, it's Riven going, okay, I can fight the Gangplank 1v1. I will go and take him down now. Back to back to back plays, and it's becoming too much for Rogue Warriors to deal with.
That was a 50-50, unfortunately, on that barrel, but Mouse did not win it as he looked to try and get the Q out. Guessing the timing on the Riven auto was just a little bit off, and Jinnu is able just to completely demolish him in the river. LGD now sitting at about 1,000 gold lead, 21 minutes. Baron is on the table, and this Riven is a bit threatening. Dustblade looking to be completed here shortly. You have the Ghostblade on top of the Black Cleaver, the lethality coming out here. It's just going to be destroying these squishy members of Rogue Warriors.
And you know, I noticed that SMLZ has gone for the Berserker Greaves. Common for Caitlyn in the laning phase. You get that extra movement speed to be able to get a couple extra auto attacks in because you have that extra range. But it might be punished now because she doesn't have the armor, and she needs armor early in the game to help survive this Riven damage now because it's Riven got so fed so early.
He's looking for a dive though in the mid lane. Jinnu, he gets the shields on down, can't escape the Cataclysm, decides, hey, I'm gonna fight, I have a stopwatch, you know, and that's gonna be 3 members of Rogue Warriors just getting demolished in the mid lane. Imp going off on the Varus, double kill in his favor, and just like that, LGD, they pull the trigger, keep on going for the dives, and now get themselves 12 kills.
When all else fails, there's always the stopwatch meta. Throws herself directly into the fight. Doesn't quite get the kill. Ends up giving up a lot of pressure because of it, but when it all looks lost, still has the stopwatch to switch the tower aggro. They complete the dive effectively, and now they're getting Baron.
And LGD, they look like a brand new team after their win over RNG, playing aggressively, looking for these moments early to try and get the gold rolling, and understanding that their win condition is they have to try and close this game out. They can't let it go on forever like the other games have.
As we're talking about how fed the Riven is with a 5-0-3, look at this Imp at 4-0-2 as well. He is comfortable against the Caitlyn. He's sitting at 3 items now. Caitlyn not quite there yet, and that's going to mean that he has the ability to pressure out these team fights. He's got the ability to shred tanks. He's got the ability to stack up those blight stacks quickly, and it's going to be all the more on-hit damage. So
he's also going to be shredding
some supreme
the team.
Safety. Yeah, he's going to be shredding the enemy. He has the supreme safety as well of PYL in front of him, who can just block all of the Caitlyn auto attacks.
But that would say you're going to be stealing away the MR for the team and just allowing your Rise to do even more damage, especially with that Spell Flux. We've seen how powerful that can be with the Pentakill coming out earlier on in the week with the Rise and Gnar combo. This time around, now you have the Varus that's going to be looking just to steal all those resistances and just allow the Rise to even do more. Because honestly, he now just switches into this kind of split push play style where you just wait for one member to show stopwatch or Zhonya's now, and with the Realm Warp, get out of there. And Mouse, you're underneath the tower. Can they maybe pull off a 2v1 in their favor? Jinnu, he's going to look for the kill on top of Mouse. Flag Drag combo is going to be able to do enough to knock him down, and SMLZ with the ace in the hole is going to pick up the kill.
This is where Riven in any solo queue game would be saying, what are you, too scared to 1v1 me? But they send multiple members there, they remove her from the map, they get the shutdown gold, and that's going to remove the pressure from mid lane. This dissolves so much of the pressure that they had from the Baron buff, because they have to wait to have that side lane pressure again. The 4-man unit can be engaged on that much easier, so they're just got to clear the waves and back off and try and wait until Riven is back on the map. Look at this, she's going for cleanse instead of the teleport right now.
Yeah, gonna just be looking to try and cleanse away some of that CC coming on through from Rogue Warriors. The peel for this Caitlyn or the Karma, or even Mouse at this point. He's in a rough spot. Sure, he's got that Trinity Force completed, but you're not going to be matching the damage of a Dustblade, Tiamat, Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Riven. Just so much damage coming out. Full aggression, not even going with any safety, just the Ninja Tabbies.
Aggression or disruption? Which one is it?
just gonna disrupt the backline. That's his idea. You just dive on in and just like, what can Rogue Warriors do? They're going to be panicking with this Riven on top of them.
Super fed right now, all the same, and he'll have the ability to go onto the backline that much easier. But he's going to be drawing so much pressure because people have to take note of him. They have to focus him and make sure he can't remove SMLZ from the fight instantly, which gives Nunzu and Imp that much more time to put down their damage. And that's the kind of disruptor you want to be as a Riven when you get to these points in the game.
Well, Imp gonna go ahead, knock down the tower with the help of his jungle and PYL. Minion's gonna crash on in on top of that, so getting some more gold into his pocket, looking to finish off the rest of his items. Still going that Targon's brace. It's gonna be, I'm gonna say I'm relieved once 8.2 goes live here in competitive. Not gonna be seeing Relic Shield on every ADC anymore. Makes me very happy.
Hey, I mean, you're an ADC main. It makes me fact that you can play whatever the hell you want.
I hate it because I have to play stuff that is like Kog'Maw, just late game champions that
just play Jinx every game. Have fun with it, dude.
I love Jinx, but she just doesn't feel that great at the moment. She doesn't.
She got the attack speed buffs recently, so she is feeling a bit better.
She is feeling a little bit better. Maybe I'll try that later on in my placements. We're 1 for 1 right now, so we're already 50% win rate. That means I should climb, right? Easy.
Yeah.
Ranked is easy.
Hey, I mean, they've changed it so that bronze is exclusively for new players now, so, I mean, you've got some hope.
Hey, at least I'll get my border, right? Anyway.
Hey, silver border.
Silver border, silver caster, you gotta embrace it. LGD, they're embracing this lead though. Up almost 8,000 in their favor at 27 minutes, picking up their second Cloud Dragon. Gonna be using that to just roam across the lanes and just cause more mayhem. If anything, this Riven's just gonna love it. And you see Rogue Warriors, can they set up a Death Brush on top of PYL? He's going to be taunted up and trapped away, but the chain of corruption comes on through onto Imp, and Mouse has to back off. Cannon Barrage comes on through. Cataclysm popped by Flawless, but waiting in the sides is that Riven for possibly the assassination. Is not going to find it though, going to back off. Nobody falling in the end.
You can really feel the effect of the gold lead there, because that's exactly the place that you want to see Rogue Warriors fighting. Caitlyn's able to free her onto multiple people. You've got Doenby with the AoE damage, Flawless being able to lock down multiple people, and the barrels in a choke point. Everything's set up perfectly to work for them. But LGD, they're just able to disengage effectively, and they don't have the damage to burst a member right now.
Well, Rogue Warriors, that's a gutsy call. You don't optimally want to be fighting in the jungle against LGD. They just work really well when they're grouped up in a comp like this. You got a Chain of Corruption from the Varus, you got the Spell Flux coming through from Nash.
They just wanted to kill one and back off, buy some time.
That's their thing though.
They can clear the waves.
PYL, he's at that point where he's even tanky for his support, and they weren't able just to nail him down, so the play doesn't even work in their favor, and it almost gets turned on their head. They have to be careful even trying to defend a red buff. Is this worth it, Rogue Warriors? Is this the play you want to be making? Flawless,
Flawless will tell you it is.
Yeah, he gets out of there. He has the shield from the Karma. He's feeling pretty good. In the end, LGD are not going to be able to punish him.
So he gets the red buff and gets out, and that's
mission
give
accomplished.
him a little bit of satisfaction for now. Yeah, mission accomplished indeed. He's got the Knight's Vow for himself on top of this Cinderhulk right now, so he's at least got some effective tankiness, but he's still not this big late game tank that you know the Sejuani is, that you know so many of the other junglers can be, and he's basically just a Cataclysm bot right now to lock multiple members down in place to try and set up for Mowers and Doenby to put down that AoE damage.
Well, Rogue Warriors, they're able to get some vision for themselves as Killua makes his way up into that Baron, coming in less than half a minute for LGD with full advantage and full control, it seems, of this map. They should be able to clear out this vision and set up another quick Baron for themselves. Maybe even draw Rogue Warriors in to see if they were going to even check it, but this is still the danger. Do you try and get some deep vision for yourselves, or are you just going to let this Baron fall and let LGD have another opportunity to possibly crack open your base?
This is really the moment where LGD has to show that they've improved not only in their ability to make plays in the early game, but to shot call these late game objectives. They still have a significant gold lead, but it's being able to get this Baron, be able to close out the game without making any mistakes, because we know that games can be extended extremely long, and it can come down to losing one team fight when the enemy hasn't taken more than one turret in the single entire game, and that can be the end of it.
You can even just see the chunks of those auto attacks coming out from the Riven. If she's able just to get close to these towers, she's going to be shredding them down. Flawless is up toward that top side of the map. Should be a little bit careful. Going to flag drag out of danger from the Sejuani. You have the Varus still in the mid lane, so LGD not necessarily in the best position to threaten the Baron, but just looking to stall out the map, it seems. Maybe look for one member of Rogue Warriors to be caught out. Themselves can't be the ones, though. Mouse is going to try and go aggressive there and pops his Ghost Blade. Going to use the barrel, actually, just to get the slow and just run the heck out of dodge.
Accidentally catches Nanzu, not realizing he was there, but that is going to keep him safe. Nanzu did pop the ghost, thinking he was going to have the play there. So the barrel slow, so crucial, even blind from Mouse.
You gotta be counting your lucky stars. You gotta enjoy anything that goes your way. And Imp and Emmy trying to sneak on into the pit. Almost perfect timing there. The blue trinket, though, did catch them out, and instead they're going to wait here and maybe even see if Rogue Warriors are going to check this Flawless. He's looking to maybe even back into the base. Instead, going to hold on to the recall, going to use the standard, and Imp spots this out. So now, LGD, they know where Rogue Warriors are. They're going to be looking for the fight. PYL is just going to be trapped in the Cataclysm. Flawless, not playing too flawlessly, it seems, as he just jumps on in and gets obliterated. And with no jungle, this should be an easy Baron call by LGD. Down in bot lane, are they going to be able to secure the kill on the Riven? The shield comes on out, but he takes down Mouse in his dying breath. On the other side of the map, though, LGD do secure the Baron.
Ends up getting the 1-for-1, but crucially removes Gangplank from the map, which means that the wave clear is significantly lowered if they want to go for a fight. Ooh.
Looking to kite on back, doesn't have his ultimate available, just used it during the fight. Killua still pretty tanky here on this Shen. Imp taking a lot of auto attacks just to take him down. SMLZ gonna get exhausted. Here comes the flank from the Rise. Spell Flux going all over the place, gonna try and snare up some members. Imp picks up the kill, make it a double kill as he takes down SMLZ, and with some Baron buffed minions in the mid lane and possibly in the bot lane, LGD are going to be looking for the inhib, maybe even possibly more.
Is only Doenby here for the wave killer. Gangplank still not down, still not up for the next 5 seconds. Means they will be able to get this inhib and potentially look for the mid lane one as well.
Doenby going to try his best, going to land that root onto Emmy, but look at this, the rest of the team pushing on through. Going to take down one inhibitor tower, and the inhibitor going to be looking to double that possibly, is now in the mid lane taking down that structure, and the inhibitor going to slowly follow on through. Cataclysm going to be used actually by Flawless just to try and trap the team, it seems. Just looking to delay LGD, but it isn't enough.
And then now they've got to go back and spend all that gold they got from the fight and the Baron itself. They don't really want to be trying to end the game here, knowing that they all have multiple thousands of gold in their pocket to spend. And that means that they're just going to back off, take this Cloud Dragon. That's going to be 3 Cloud Dragons in a row this game. Giving them that extra movement speed, you know, gotta go fast, but...
Gotta go fast. That Riven's gonna be going all over the place. Yeah. He got Ghost Blade, he got a GA, he's gonna be just in his own little world, split pushing, and...
Yeah, the ability to get back on the map that much quicker, especially when you've got...
Look how fast he is!
Speed from the lethality items, yeah. Out of combat movement speed from lethality items on top of 3 Cloud Dragons. There you go, that's pretty filthy.
Yeah, you're gonna be scuttling along pretty fast, it seems. Now we'll have to see whether or not he's almost at 500 move speed. Actually, if you look at that, 485 on your total. Doesn't even have the Ghost Blade pump. So if he's gonna be chasing down and looking to engage, he's gonna be getting all over the place. A little
He doesn't
disgusting.
have
And
the
even
wings of Dawnbringer Ribbon, but he's flying across the map, yeah.
exactly, he doesn't have the wings, but might as well. And even the BM coming out possibly from Anaju in the mid lane on the rise, giving some little bit of a dance here. He's feeling pretty confident, so is the rest of LGD, now sitting at that 12,000 gold advantage and now looking for their final inhibitor to go on down. Rogue Warriors, what do they do here? Can they even look for a fight without threatening the end of the game with this Riven just split pushing in the bot lane?
Yeah, they're trying to draw the pressure out from multiple lanes. You can see Ryze is moving mid lane with the Baron buff. And when he meets up with Jinu, that's going to be 2 waves of Baron-empowered super minions pushing
They'll just go for a
almost
flank.
a free top lane tower.
Imp still not going to be popping his ultimate. Seems to be the main engage for his team, the main call, but the Glacial Prison will be the first to follow up through. Imp is going to land his ultimate onto the back members. The Cataclysm, though, is going to trap PYL and the Sejuani. They're able to escape, and now Killua on the front side has to be careful, and Janu is just causing mayhem toward the side of the team LGD. They look to have done it, now looking to crash in onto those Nexus towers. It's going to be a 4v5. The flag drag combo is going to knock up PYL, but he is still alive, and Imp is able to shred down Flawless. Here comes the Riven, looking for the dive. Double kill for Imp on the Varus, looking for maybe a little bit more, instead turning his attention onto the towers. And LGD in game 1 picking the Riven up in top lane, playing aggressively, show that you can look to try and end series fast here, as they're going to look to try and kite out. He survives as the Nexus falls.
Rogue Warriors, they couldn't handle the early game pressure of this new look LGD, who showed that they can play this proactive style that we've been seeing flashes of. We saw it develop so easily from the 2 series ago. They just picked up the 1 win, they lost 2-1. Looked pretty good in the game they did win, playing proactively across the map against, I believe it was Suning Gaming. Series after, beat RNG 2-1. This series, they're looking for a 2-0 over Rogue Warriors. That consistent improvement and the ability to adapt to the mistakes they're making has definitely been hopeful for the side of LGD.
And for Rogue Warriors, you now go into this break. Do you consider banning away this Riven? It looks like Mouse just wasn't prepared for it, and honestly, oddly enough, with the Jarvan being such a priority here for Rogue Warriors actually sneaking its way, they got gifted this pick in my opinion. I'm shocked LGD didn't even try and go for this, instead opted into that Sejuani. We didn't see Flawless at all during this game.
You got to think, after Flawless pulled it out twice in his last series, how is this going to go forward? How are they going to adapt to the next game, and how they got completely outmatched in the early game? They couldn't match the plays and the pressure being exerted by LGD. And you got to think, Flawless's Lee Sin has to be on the cards for Rogue Warriors, and they have to be thinking about that, potentially winning them games. It's a 1 in 3 games so far, MVP performances in all 3. So, I mean, that's got to be the pick for Flawless in the next game for me, if he wants to keep up with what Nanzu and Amy are putting out.
Well, keeping up with this series, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break for ourselves, but when we're back, it's going to be game 2 between Rogue Warriors and LGD Gaming. Stay tuned.
from home, no place to go, but I don't feel cold. I've been so blind, just lost my mind, but all I have lost I find. Your face reminds me of these games, the memories don't erase. I'll never be the same anymore. I'm on the highest top with no control. And you done. I open my eyes, do you remember me? I carried on. Through all of these years, you've been my fantasy.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for Game 2 between LGD and Rogue Warriors. LGD taking Game 1 in convincing fashion after picking out that Riven up in the top lane. It doesn't look like, though, in this one we'll be seeing it in a repeat in Game 2. I'm Alexander Opalar-Shambo, joining me for the cast is Stuart Sin McLeod. And Sin, if you're looking at Rogue Warriors comp, what are you expecting to kind of, change up here in this champ select?
So Flawless really, he had a fairly effective early game. He had 100% kill participation up until the around 5-10 minute mark. But once they got past that 10 minutes, he really struggled to have an impact. When the team fell behind, he couldn't find the ability to make plays, and he got completely outpaced across the map. So I was expecting him to go for something more aggressive like his Lee Sin. Falling back to that Jarvan, we have to see a change, and this Rise in the mid lane might just enable that.
To see the Rise getting locked in for Rogue Warriors. In response, though, it's going to be the Malzahar getting locked in for Nanju in the mid lane. And what does LGD want to pick up before the second ban rotation? Looking at the Tahm Kench, hasn't been picked up just yet. Last game, it was that Shen versus the Braum. This would be a little bit of a change-up, or do they want to try and secure an ADC for Imp? It looks like they're going to go ahead, lock in the Sivir.
So now it has to be Rogue Warriors thinking about either picking or banning the Tahm Kench right now, because they don't want to see that 800 CS Sivir going into the late game and
800
really slowing
CS,
down the
baby.
pace. So you need to have her be punishable in those early phases. So by removing the Tahm Kench in the next ban phase, that will be something on their minds. But at the same time, LGD, they can look to ban out Gnar here. They can look to ban out counters to the Gangplank, like Camille's or one of the others that you can look to think about as well. And then there's a lot of pressure onto Mao's, because the gauntlet has been thrown down here. Mao's lost on the Gangplank. Now Jinu's saying, what have you got that can beat Gangplank? Are you as good as me at top lane?
I'm loving it. Loving that aggression. I'm loving that threatening potential. We'll have to see. LGD going to be banning out that Gnar in response, so looking to keep targeting up toward that top lane. Rogue Warriors doing the same, though, on support, getting rid of the Braum and that Tahm Kench that was being hovered. Now, if you're LGD...
Camille.
Yeah, I feel like you get rid of the Camille. Try and take away another one of Mouse's carry picks, because I believe he has played that Camille a couple times. Instead, looking to target toward SMLZ. This is actually one of his favorite champions, the Kalista. It's his most played in the season, so it's a reasonable ban.
I want to see this is something you may not expect, but the Vayne coming out here. Vayne seen in history as a counterpick to the Sivir. Just being able to be very aggressive, and Sivir can't really do much about the Vayne, so that would be interesting to see. But with the short range already of the Rise, it would be more beneficial to go for something like this Tristana that we're seeing. Something with the long range that to be able to poke enemies out and stay at a fair distance, so you don't have to stand right on top of Nanzu when he's playing something like this Malzahar.
Well, for LGD, now looking towards their support role, perhaps. Are hovering that Janna. She has kind of crept herself back up into the meta, it seems, with all these tanky support melees coming on through, and is going to get locked in for PYL.
And so they've got this really high win rate solo queue support of the Janna coming through, who is still having a fair amount of prominence, a fairly high win rate as well. Pairing it up with a hyper carry like the Sivir can be very beneficial, and now we just need to see what Amy is going to go for, and it is going to be this Rek'Sai looking for some early game aggression on a different kind of jungler, where generally in those early phases you don't have that much damage. You want to play around the vision, you go for that tracker's knife, and you try and counter gank, but you can get towards that mid game where you can really be effective in getting knockups on single targets. It really fits in with the pick comp they've got.
Well, Rogue Warriors, this has actually snuck its way all the way through the pick and ban phase. The Ornn is going to get locked in, and Rogue Warriors, they actually got rid of the main counter to this champion, that Braum, in the second rotation, so there's going to be really anything able to stop the call of the Forge God, and this is kind of more of a team comp that we saw them play over in the Demacia Championship at the earlier part of the month here in January.
Initially I saw Ornn into Gangplank and I thought, it's not really a great matchup for Ornn. Gangplank will just be able to free scale, but I look at this now, and I think if there's no massive snowball coming out where Nanzu and AB are teaming up so effectively to remove people from the map individually consistently in that mid game, then when you come to those late game team fights, with the Rise, the Ornn, and the Jarvan all together, with the Tristana behind them, that is a great teamfight composition coming there.
You can see the crowd in the arena looking pretty comfortable in there. The LGD arena. Actually, all those chairs are massage chairs. They're actually pretty comfortable from what we've been told from Rusty and them. They're even if the fans were disappointed in the first 2 series at home, they're at least enjoying themselves now as LGD hold the hammer, looking to take the series on a 2-0 clean sweep.
So what I'm not understanding right now in terms of the LPL scheduling is it that they play at home every game? Because it seems like that's what's been the case so far.
It might be a thing where they're kind of they're kind of on for 2 or 3 weeks and then they go play away for 2 or 3 weeks. That would be my understanding, because I feel like that would be kind of a waste to just entirely play. I would have to assume they have to have away games. I know Snake has, so that we haven't really seen. No, maybe not. We haven't seen. Have we seen a Snake? I guess the real question would be when. Oh, I'm not too sure. Now I'm interested.
The first Snake game of the season was not casted by us, meaning most likely it wasn't in the Snake arena.
True, true.
So most of the, if you've noticed, most of the ones we have casted have been the games in the alternate arenas, the Snake arena, the LGD arena.
Or the ones that are still in Shanghai too. That we do the Tuesday and Wednesdays. Yeah. So it's more of these kind of these throwaway third games of the weekend, and there won't be too many more weeks of this. I think after week 3, these actually stop, and we get a nice break, a relaxing weekend instead of having to be up on a Friday night or Saturday morning.
Even on Tuesday and Wednesday, 50% of our games end up being the away games at.
We've had a lot of LGD games. We have a lot of LGD.
We've casted every LGD game this split.
Yeah, you know, we're slowly becoming experts in the subject matter. Yeah. And you'll be frank, it'll be shocking to say, hey, you know what, LGD, they might be looking for a 2-0 sweep. We were mentioning this during the break here. They've kind of reversed the order of how their outcomes have. They had a 2-0, then they had a 2-1 loss, and then they had a 2-1 win, and now they're looking for a 2-0.
Yeah, it's gone all the way back around, and with this rather strong leash here in the bot lane, we're seeing that it's given SMLZ the time to be able to set up this wave as he wants, push it in. But I mean, when you're level 1 as a Tristana, you start E, you don't really have a chance to push in the wave, choice rather, if you want to push in the wave or not. That is just what's going to happen. But looking through the item builds quickly, Minion Dematerializer on both Killua and Mouse here. So Mouse is going to be running it to buff that ranged wave clear he's got even further, because he knows Gangplank can get to the point where he is going to be pushing him in. He could respond, he doesn't have to sit under his tower the entire time, and it will benefit him extremely. And also, having the Targums on Alistair means if you kill a cannon minion with a minion Dematerializer, you get 100% a pushing lane.
Let's see, Flawless. This is what we were asking about. What could they do early on? And MP already blew his spell shield. He's got no other form of escape. He's just going to let the explosive charge tick on down. SMLZ going to pick up first blood.
Did somebody say game 3? Is that what we're looking at already?
Well, you know what? Flawless playing aggressive. That's what he needed to do in the last game. He did make an impact around that 5-minute mark, but we didn't see it. Let's see if he can keep it up.
So one of the crucial differences here as well is Doinb is on this rise against something that doesn't have any wave pressure against him right now. It's not really the strong wave clear in the early levels from Nanzu. You need to see him get to that lost chapter before you can really see him start to contest Doinb. So this is going to mean that Doinb around that level 6 mark is going to be the first to make the play, most likely. And that's going to mean that Rogue Warriors have the chance to start getting these advantages that they need.
It's kind of a nice fresh breath of air, you could say, seeing some aggressive play early in the game. And something that we've seen here in the LPL often, actually, is that once teams get that early lead, they can usually close things out. We don't usually see too many back-to-back flashes, actually, from Killua. That's going to be the Hextech flash. Got a little bit confused there for a second, but this is kind of what you can do with the Alistar with this rune, is once you kind of push up the lane, get dominance over the brush, you're pretty much a threat all the time.
And like we said with the minion Dematerializer, he doesn't need to step up to auto-attack a minion. He can just kill the minion and get the target and proc from that to ensure the wave push, and also just get that target and proc onto his ADC to heal them and himself. But it's really working effectively because he doesn't have to put himself at risk. He doesn't have to trade. He can just sit in the brush and make it look like SMLZ is doing it 2v1.
Look, Mom, no support. I'm doing all right here. Flawless is going to be...
Look, Mom, no cow.
Look, Mom, no cow. I don't... Okay, that could work, that could work. Flawless, gonna go toe-to-toe with that Rek'Sai, it seems, and actually with Doinby actually pushing out that wave, it does allow them to safely look for this invade, and are actually gonna steal every single Raptor away.
Yeah, very effectively done there, and that's gonna mean Flawless just bops that one away and denies a lot of CS there from the Rek'Sai, but we gotta think about what this means for the game as a whole, and the ability to stop AD having that much of an early game, stop him having all that much pressure from Flawless, is going to mean that he has that much more time across the map to be able to make these plays. He's put down the vision effectively, putting that pink ward into the enemy jungle. And so there's no opportunity for this early game snowball that we saw from LGD last time around.
And it's a decent threat here, Rogue Warriors comp. You know, once that Tristana, once that Ryze gets some items for themselves, they're going to be quite a hassle to deal with for LGD. And unfortunately, I don't know if they'll be able to hold out for an extremely long game if that's how they decide to play. This is kind of the answer that you want to see. Unfortunately, though, no Nether Graphs is available for the Malzahar in mid lane, and that's kind of the follow-up CC you need.
So it's the tale of the tape from the previous series that it's when Imp picks Sivir that it doesn't seem to go so well. Has gone for that rejuvenation bead again, just showing even further how his early game struggles are.
This is his favorite item when he's behind, is this rejuvenation bead. He loves this. Every time he's died early on Sivir, he always picks this up.
Yeah, went 0-4, I think we pointed out was his score last time around. Definitely looking not to repeat that, and Rogue Warriors will be looking to try and tilt him off the face of the earth.
You know,
make sure he's taken out of the game as early as possible and give SMLZ a bit of a snowball.
No, not the greatest showing so far, but Killua on this Alistar. Oh, just a little out of range there for that wall, but still just being a threat. That's the idea with that rune. You always try and use it when it's available. You know, you could even BM and not be even flashing toward the team. You could flash away. You're just trying to cause some mayhem in LGD's comms and try and force them to back off.
The funniest one I've seen is like when the Hex Flash, when it's being used, you have to channel it, and obviously it's while your flash is on cooldown. I've seen somebody's flash come back on cooldown. Come back from cooldown, and they go, okay, yeah, I'll use the Hex Flash now. End up fail flashing into a wall and go, wait, I didn't have the channel time. Oh no, it was the real flash.
Oops. That's the kind of mistakes you don't want to be making here. Rogue Warriors, they seem to have fixed up some of their earlier mistakes. They're now sitting at a alright, comfortable little lead. Only 700 gold. They have the CS advantages in the mid lane and a little bit up in that top lane. So sitting just fine for now. Getting some quick vision on the side of LGD. They're just going to try and prevent some of this aggression coming out from the Rogue Warriors younger Flawless, as he has been looking to play offensively, it seems, at least the first 8 minutes of this game.
And so Flawless, yeah, he's managed to have a bit of pressure. He's managed to put vision down on the map, but really it's just been a tale of waiting for the plays to be ready, and it's around this level 6 mark now where we can start to see Doinby push the wave, go with Jarvan towards the top side and try and gank Janu, because he's just been given the ability to free scale thus far. And even though Mouse has been keeping up well on CS, he's been using that ranged wave clear effectively, we know how strong Gangplank can be, and Gangplank will effectively be ahead in gold due to the Kleptomancy, on top of the fact that he gets those Silver Serpents.
And you know, we often, kind of criticize teams when they don't play and try and camp a Gangplank up in top lane, because honestly, he's pretty, unfortunately, doesn't have a whole lot of tools to get out of there. Down in bot lane, though, PYL, the Buster Shot coming on through, and SMLZ will pick up his second kill of the game.
That's another similar play, just jumps on top of them directly, and
he's trying.
Really respect it.
That's going to be the cannon barrage. That at least gets the heal out from SMLZ. Looking Imp, he's trying to outplay underneath the tower. That's going to be the stopwatch, though, and that's going to be the third kill going on over to this Tristana.
And yeah, again, the flashes of Imp, where he wants to make these big plays, he wants to have these highlight reel moments, but doesn't work out for him this time. Picks up the 1, but still, they lose 2. 3 kills now on
up in top
SMLZ,
lane, though. Like,
ooh.
there was this whole little fiasco going on down. They catch out the Malzahar.
And Malzahar gets caught out, doesn't have the
my.
flash, and ends up just dying instantly when he gets bopped.
Look at-
After stopwatch, and wow, the stopwatch is being popped left and right across the map.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, they're saying, hey, guys, it's been 20 minutes, we farmed up, you guys want to play, right? We're going to play some League of Legends, we want to play aggressive, it seems, and looking to give...
I mean, how can you play League of Legends when one of the enemies has the ability to stop time at will?
Okay. Just gets just a little out of range of the Malzahar, but I was gonna say, Kilowatt,
So close.
You're being mean now. You're all over the place on this Alistar, causing mayhem in all the different lanes, and
Is it one of those moments where you blow your flash specifically to set up the fact that you want to hex flash everywhere?
I remember talking to a lot of the support mains, and we even talked with kind of Ender on this, one of the playtesters over right. You know, that was kind of one of the possibilities for that rune. You would actually try and use your Hextech flash as soon as possible, your regular flash as soon as possible, so you could get the Hextech flash and just be a nuisance everywhere you went.
It just doesn't sound like it would be the best when you pair it up with the unsealed spellbook, however, but it's still a really good rune that can be very effective on these engaged supports where you want to be getting out of a rush, gap closing as best you can to then be in range of your abilities. And on a champion like Alistar or Leona, I love seeing it. It's a really unique way to be able to see a support think about the game slightly differently, look at how they can get a flank over and basically be their own version of Fiddlesticks, so they just sit over a wall and channel to be able to jump over it.
Kind of pops on in there, says, hello there, how you doing? Looking for the knockout? Caw-caw! I was going to say something else, but it's not safe for the broadcast, but... Caw-caw, mother something. Either way, doing V. Gonna TP back into the lane, has an unsealed spellbook himself, so gonna have the cooldown back on that right away. Flawless. This time around, playing a little bit better than what we saw last time. Was aggressive and hasn't been punished for it, unlike Game 1 where LGD were able to try and turn around some members and actually get themselves a small advantage off some of his mistakes.
And so now with Flawless just being able to take away the enemy jungle consistently, it's becoming a bit of an issue with Amy where they have to try and find this collapse, they have to try and make the plays at this point in the game where Malzahar is the strongest, before people have the QSSs, before they have a lot of magic resistance. And unfortunately, this isn't being allowed. As we said, Flawless being able to put down so many wards is removing the pressure of Nanzu and Amy almost completely.
Now, you're going to have that little attempt here in toward the dragon, but Imp will actually pick up a kill with the Boomerang Blade. SMLZ has to use the Buster Shot, doesn't have much mana, and guess what? Here comes that Rek'Sai, looking for some prey, picks up the kill, shutdown goes on over. LGD, they're able to punish 2 members of Rogue Warriors in exchange for the Ocean Drake.
And Flawless ends up locking himself in the Cataclysm there, gets punished for it. And they get the dragon, but they lose a couple of kills and they lose the momentum they've been stacking thus far in the game with getting that shutdown gold off of SMLZ directly onto Imp. It's turning around this lane and getting Imp back to the point where he's going to build this Essence Reaver. He's going to start transitioning into this really good wave clearing crit build that we know the scaling can be effective for.
And luckily for Amy, he did have a low health target, so he was able to get that execute on down, get the extra damage, and pick up the kill for himself. I was going to talk about really quickly this actual the Rek'Sai runes here, because I know a lot of the Rek'Sai mains prefer to actually go for that electrocute. A lot of junglers that are looking to play aggressive usually end up going with the electrocute. They just see it as the more superior rune. This time around, though, going with the press the attack, going to try and let other members of his team do damage to the people he's locking up.
So it's implying that he's going to be hitting a tank. It's not going for that early game aggression, it's actually working for the more late game fights, and it's going to be so that Imp, he's going to be hitting the front line as well with this Sivir, so he's going to be trying to chain those Critichets through the front line into the back line. If they've got the press the attack on them to give that increased damage to them, that makes it a little bit more effective. So I can see some potential logic from it, but the electrocute is generally seen as much more superior, much far superior because of that early game pressure you have. where you can come into a lane and chunk somebody to half HP in one swift combo.
Do see there, W2D5 starting to get the rotations on down with that Rise, getting a quick little trade onto that Malzahar. Flawless waiting in the wings, but the Rise is going to push on forward. It looks like they're just going to say, hey, we're going to go for the dive if you decide to stay here. That's going to force the flash out of LGD's mid laner, and just like that, that's going to be first tower going on over to Rogue Warriors.
And yeah, Rogue Warriors starting to come back into this as well. It's really been a game that's back and forth in terms of tempo. It's really just been down to W2D5 pushing this mid lane hard. That's where most of the gold advantage is coming from. You can look at the CS difference between him and Nanzu. And Nanzu not really been able to do anything with his time away from the mid lane due to the fact that he has to clear these waves that W2D5's pushing in. And so we need to see W2D5 do something with this advantage there, because he hasn't been roaming, he hasn't been trying to gank top lane, bot lane, and it just means that Gangplank is free scaling.
He might be caught out here. PYL actually flashes forward, but in response, W2D5 is going to pick up the kill. Mouse actually TP's on back. That's a double kill for the Rise, and Mouse is going to be hunting down this Rek'Sai, it seems. Cataclysm coming out from Flawless is going to force the flash out of the Gangplank, and Rogue Warriors, after getting caught out in mid lane, just turn this one around, play aggressive, and pick up a couple kills in their favor, and are looking to even secure the second tier tower in mid.
It's playing around this Rise, the strong point on the map, and now he sits 2-0-1 with, and we can see the Glacial Shroud in his inventory. Is this another Righteous Glory Rise? This is the potential here.
He's thinking about it, but we get to take a look at the replay.
Yeah, it's just being able to kite back far enough, using that extra movement speed from the Ghost, and is able to flash onto Nanzu, pick up him, and in the meantime, PYL trying to peel for the rest of his team. Gets caught out and is finished off, so 2 kills onto Rise, now sits 5 stacks on his Darksteel. So he's getting the page race going.
Well, SMLZ just going to clear out that wave down in bot lane, still sitting at that 3-1-0 KDA that we saw earlier on in the game. Imp has kind of recovered in this scenario though, starting to get a CS advantage into his favor on top of the 2 kills he already got with that shutdown gold, sitting actually a bit even now into the matchup. So Imp, he can look to try and join some of these fights if he doesn't get caught out. That's kind of what LGD are kind of banking on. They don't want this Malzahar, they don't want this Sivir to be immediately caught out in these fights, or else Rogue Warriors will usually just steamroll over them and just take the advantage.
And so now with Rogue Warriors having these multiple points of strength across the map, you can see now that the Maus has hit that point in the game where he is very impactful in these team fights with the ultimate. No way to stop the ultimate. It has to be the thought that they group up as 5 and brute force these team fights before Gangplank starts to get to that multiple item point where we know he can be terrifying.
Well, SMLZ is going to pick up another tower for Rogue Warriors as they take another in their favor, pick up a little bit more extra gold, now sitting at about a 3,000 advantage over LGD. See some things coming on down. Flawless thinking about sitting around, maybe trying to catch out this Gangplank if he shows, but instead is just going to go underneath that tower, tank it up, and that's going to be the 4th one of the game, actually. Likely going on over to Rogue Warriors. SMLZ with this Tristana. That's the threat that she can present. You can easily lose towers if you let her just whack away at them. Looks like LGD are fine with this, going to at least trade for the Rift Herald in their favor, but they lose a 2nd tier tower on top of this one they already did in mid.
So this is something that's been shown from this game. Nanzu cannot be put in a matchup that he doesn't have an effective early game on. At least in the last game where he was playing Rise, he could try and keep up with the Karma and then use the Rise to make the plays with the ultimate towards that mid game. In this game, he hasn't really done anything at all with his ultimate. He just kind of sat in lane, tried to farm up, and fell behind significantly to the Rise, losing all of his towers now as well, right down the mid lane. It just shows you the pressure that W2D5's had over him and the superiority in terms of matchup.
And Rogue Warriors, they now get an opportunity to just go ahead and easily take down the Infernal Drake, so only going to be snowballing their lead even further than where it was, and looks like we're going to have an Ocean Drake to later join us in a couple minutes.
The Dragon control for Rogue Warriors, yes, this kind of shows you the gold, as we said, was fairly even. LGD were making plays, But Rogue Warriors, they've got the tower advantage, they've got the dragon advantage, they've been playing around these objectives much better, and that's because they've had the mid lane pressure to do so, which has allowed them to put down the vision they needed, allowed Flawless to go where he needed by pushing into the enemy jungle and putting down effective wards as well.
Rogue Warriors, they got some deep vision for themselves. Speaking of that knowledge, as Janu actually doesn't even know he's on top of one, and is actually actively tracking him through the jungle, and this allows Rogue Warriors to be confident enough to just swing up their members toward this top lane and now look to take another tower possibly if they're left alone for too long. It seems like LGD, they've kind of just turtled back. They said, hey, you know what, we're now going to have to wait this one out and hope that we have the stronger team fight when it comes to those 6 item builds.
One thing we neglected to talk about here is the fact that Amy did pick up the Rift Herald. So, given the opportunity, given a slight advantage on the map, we know that LGD can be able to push down an objective very quickly, push down those towers, and they just need to be given the opportunity to do so. But right now, Rogue Warriors are not stepping off that gas pedal.
We did see there, actually, that was a steal coming on through by the Malzahar here. Natu able to pick that one up through pure... I don't even know how we got that.
It's all skill.
It's all skill. All skill. It's all in the skill. It's the Malefic Visions ticking on over. I was wondering what the casters were going all about. I was wondering. Mouse, though, in the mid lane, wants to say, hey, you know what? You took that blue buff for yourself. We're looking to just easily take it on back. Uses the Call of the Forge God to get rid of the spell shield. Meanwhile, up in top lane, Imp's going to pop his ultimate. They're looking to hunt down this poor gal. Flawless, not able to land the flag drag. A little bit of a misplay here on his part. Maybe looking for a knock-up onto PYL. In the end, LGD, they're not going to be punished for it. Neither is Rogue Warriors, though.
And so now Rogue Warriors, we see this setting up around the Baron buff. They're pushing the waves deep, trying to hold LGD within their base and get them to face check towards this. So now they're going to base, they're going to reset for the gold. They can look towards going for this. And W2D5 having that Righteous Glory, that's an engage tool for the team that follows up so effectively off of a Mao's ultimate.
Well, you can even look how little Rogue Warriors were even pressured in the early part of the game. And poor Nazhu, he's going to end up using his ultimate. Emmy comes around the side, flash, knock-up's going to follow on through. The auto attack will find the kill, and the stopwatch gets him out of there with the Realm Warp. And Mouse calls the Forge God into play. That's going to be a knock-up onto the Rek'Sai, followed up by the Flag Drag combo. And the Cataclysm keeps him from escaping through the tunnels. W2D5 going to pick up the kill. Mouse still wants to go and fight here. Looks like Imp's starting to get some damage back, though, onto his side. A little low on the mana, and he won't be able to do a whole lot here as Baron appears to be started up here by Rogue Warriors. Imp looking to be caught out, has to flash away, has his spell shield available, but here comes the rest of the team. It's the Gangplank looking for just one sweet barrel combo. It chunked out Rogue Warriors low enough. That should at least allow LGD to prevent the Baron attempt from happening.
Imp almost gets assassinated going in far too deep, but ends up having the peel from PYL. The heal comes through, it's going to keep them alive long enough to poke down the members of Rogue Warriors and stop them from taking that Baron. But Rogue Warriors still ended up getting the kills from picking up the kill onto Amy and Nanzu. They still have more of an advantage onto W2D5 now, who we know can choose to go for the teleport from an unsealed spellbook, can choose to be that big side lane threat. And there's a lot of potential here for Rogue Warriors to start pushing advantages in multiple lanes.
Well, Janu, we haven't really seen him in these fights until just now, and that's the thing about this Gangplank. If he's able to just get one good barrel combo, it can instantly swing around the favor of the fight, even in a 3v5 like we just saw. If Rogue Warriors were any lower, that would have been an instant call likely from Imp and the rest of the team to just keep on chasing and try to pick up as many members as possible. So the positioning with the barrels, trying to keep them out of vision of Rogue Warriors, could be the key for them to turn around some of these fights in the jungle.
It's chaining multiple barrels together from out of vision. And that could be all you need to really catch a carry off guard. And if you chunk SMLZ to half HP, he then can't play as aggressive. You lose a large amount of damage from the fight. There's a lot that can be said for Jinu being able to get into the backline and or get a barrel onto the backline for these fights. Because there's the ability for Nanzu, we talked about locking down a key member. but there has to be the damage to follow up on that. Does Imp have it right now? We don't think so.
He doesn't have any
God.
way of getting out of there. Doomby can just instantly take him on down, and with the Ghost, with the Righteous Glory, there's no escaping this Rise. On top of that, the Knight's Vow from Flawless going to try and keep him as safe as possible. Rogue Warriors are going to go ahead, start up the Baron, looking to try and take this series all the way to Game 3. Have another Righteous Glory from Killua. They're going to catch out Imp, and he has nowhere to run. Completely separated from his team. Rogue Warriors are going to go ahead, turn right back onto Baron.
And yeah, without the AD carry there, without one of the key damage members, it's all down to Gangplank and maybe a critical steal from this Rek'Sai. And Rise's Zona go off effectively enough that they're not even going to contest this one. This is going to be the Baron going over to Rogue Warriors, now around 7k in the lead. And they're going to be comfortably looking towards sieging up these now inhibitor towers and see if they can break open the base, preferably within the next 10 minutes, so Sivir doesn't become a ridiculous late game hypercarry threat.
This is kind of what we see though with LGD when they kind of lose out a little bit during the early game. This is kind of the style we see them play. They kind of just roll over and play dead like a dog, because seriously, they haven't been doing anything. They haven't been looking to try and turn any of these fights, and they're just hoping that Rogue Warriors are going to make a mistake at some point.
Yes, they don't play around where they're strong and where they're weak, and where they're strong right now was Imp up until that play a few moments ago, because he was still 2-2-1 before. He was still a fairly strong threat. They needed to play around the Sivir ulting with Nanzu, trying to catch off a member out of position. Instead of that, they've just been trying to turtle around minion waves and allowing Rogue Warriors everything on the map they want to extend their gold lead further.
Can we just talk about this mid lane CS difference already? Look at
this
this,
is pretty ridiculous.
196 to 319 from Doonby, going well past that, you know, that sought after 10 CS a minute on the Rise. Only 26 minutes into the game, he's farmed up a Storm, only needs one more component to finish off the 6-item build. Meanwhile, up in top lane, SMLZ with that Tristana actually upgrading the Infinity Edge to the Ornn upgrade. Can just look
the
to
Molten Edge.
Is it the Molten Edge? Well, it doesn't look like Mousy just gonna go ahead and get silenced. He calls the Forge God, but then doesn't answer. Unfortunately, Cataclysm is used there by Flawless to try and catch out some members. That is also gonna be the Gangplank ultimate to try and clear out the way, but SMLZ on this Tristana is just able to whack away at the inhibitor. Rogue Warriors, they secure the zoning up toward that top lane and take down the first inhibitor of the game at 27 minutes.
And so with the base broken open, this is where it becomes much easier. They still have a Baron buff for the next minute and a half. They can rotate some of this wave towards the mid lane and have the next part of the stacking wave coming in with the Tristana shortly. So there's definitely the ability to now let the super minions push in the top lane, let the super minions do most of the work for you. And wherever Sivir is, you can push a different lane. Because she can't be everywhere at once, you have to synergize it perfectly with your team, so all 3 waves crash at the same time, and then you can push the towers effectively. You can get that inhibitor down, and with only a minute left, we think we'll probably have to wait until the next Baron buff, or for a key fight to lead to multiple members falling.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors are just, you know, it's only been 27 minutes. We haven't hit the 30-minute mark, and they're playing like it's late game at this point. Looking for
I mean, it's pretty much late game when you're at 55,000 gold. You're pretty much full gold Rise.
Yeah, the Rise having 342 CS before the 30-minute mark. A little bit disgusting, and he's even going to keep on farming down there with the Spell Flux. Rest of the team looking to siege on through mid lane. Imp just looking to clear out as many minions as possible, but SMLZ, he lands just one explosive charge, and the tower is taken down to a third of its health. Rogue Warriors just going to wait up for the next wave. Still have Baron, and we're going to look to try and take down another inhibitor.
Oh, but SMLZ does end up getting chunked quite low, so he will have to go back and see if he can heal himself
that's
up
a flash.
in the jungle.
Doomby has to be a little bit careful there. Doesn't want to play too aggressive, it seems, as LGD does find a little bit here. But here comes the full team fight coming on through. Call the Forge God. Lands onto 2, make that 3 members in SMLZ. He's just gonna rocket jump all over the place. And Rogue Warriors, they say, hey, you know what? You don't have that Sivir to wave clear anymore. I don't think there's anything you can do. They're just gonna tank the tower with the lone super minion. And Rogue Warriors, they say, hey, you know what? Game 1, that was a little bit of a fluke. We messed up, perhaps. In LGD, they don't find their 2-0 sweep. Instead, they have to go all the way to Game 3 to take their second series, possibly, over Rogue Warriors, as they're able to tie us all up.
It's the classic Doenby tank rise, taking us to Game 3 here. And even though they were ignoring the gangplank for the entire game, did not get ganked once. They trusted that they would have the teamfight relevance, they would have the stronger picks on the map, and they played into exactly that. They got the win before he came online, and that's going to be them taking it to Game 3.
And this questionable play style comes out from LGD yet again. Once they lose the early game, it just seems that they kind of lose all hope. They don't try and fight their way on back, and it's just an easy closeout for their opponents.
The moment they gave me hope, the moment they made me think that maybe they'd changed, they proved that everything still stays the same. This is still a 50-50 LGD roster. It's whether they get the advantage in the early game or not. They still can't play from behind. They can play from ahead pretty effectively. And it's just the case of now trying to draft a composition that can get ahead in the early game effectively if you are LGD's coaching staff.
We'll have to see LGD. They want to go ahead and try and take this series 2-1, or can Rogue Warriors pull off the reverse win? We'll have to see as we go to our quick break. When we're back, it's going to be Game 3. Stay tuned.
outside my shell, pulling me down, falling deeper. Mind's numb outside my shell. I don't belong, pulling me down. Stand still, tides fading into the darkness. Leave me.
chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye big sky. Far away but dreaming of your ocean eyes.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for Game 3 between Rogue Warriors and LGD. I'm Alexander Opal Archambault. Joining me for the cast, none other than Stuart Sin McLeod. And Sin, now that we've seen these two teams each find victory so far in this series, the question now becomes, what do we expect possibly during this pick and ban? What are some priorities? I know one thing has changed for sure, and that is LGD's mid laner. Now it's going to be coming out. It's Yuki.
Yeah, Yuki subbing in for Nanzu, having been Flame Horizon and convincingly beaten in the previous game, deciding that they need that change of pace coming in, and he has been going to be piloting the Azir pick, so definitely going to have a lot of resources funneled towards him by both teams to either take him out of the game or make him that primary carry. And we got to see that proactivity in the early game again. We've got to see AB pull out all the stops to make sure that he can be this jungler that LGD needs him to be, making plays, aiding the mid laner in making sure that across the map they are getting advantages, because if they don't, they haven't been able to play from behind.
Well, Flawless going to be on Jarvan once again.
3 games in a row.
3 games in a row. They think there's a lot of success there. You even see Doomby, he's confident right now. He's giving high fives to his teammates. He says, you know what, I'm bringing out that Kassadin. I'm going to build it tank.
Iceborne Kassadin again.
I'm going to build it tank. I'm going to do a lot of damage to that Azir and that Ezreal. LGD up in the top lane, though, going to go ahead lock in the Camille.
And that's a low-key flex pick as well, because that could be the jungle, so I like the fact that they haven't picked their jungler yet and this open. So if they see 2 top lane bans thrown at it to ban counter picks, then maybe we could start thinking that it is going to be the top lane Camille, but otherwise, you still have to have that in the back of your mind, that this can be a flex.
Well, the second ban rotation now coming out. Rogue Warriors going to get rid of the Zac in the jungle for Amy. LGD going to focus their bans toward that top lane, the Maokai and the Ornn getting taken away, so a lot of those heavy engaged tanks with a lot of CC to lock down some members, saying, hey, we don't want...
So they're going to get rid of Rek'Sai as well.
It's a possibility. They want to try and get rid of this Rek'Sai. They've already digged away toward the jungle pool that we've seen today. It's going to be the Lee Sin instead, so getting rid of the hyper-aggression from LGD.
I would have thought that's what you wanted, to see Amy play something more less tank-oriented and more carry-oriented, because he hasn't really shown any success on carries. We've seen him pull out the Kha'Zix and have a really poor game on it, but It slipped through all of the pick and ban phase. The Kench is unbenched, and it's going to be Imp on that Ezreal, having had such a high priority put on it in the pick and ban phase. With the safety of this Tahm Kench on top of it, he's nigh unkillable in the early phases.
This is actually, I believe, for Imp, his first Ezreal game coming out here during the regular season.
He's a Korean. That's what we expect.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't come out. He's flexed other picks. We've seen his Sivir, we've seen his Vayne, and he's actually been on the other side of this matchup against the Sivir and was, you could say, demolished, to say the very least. That was his 0-4 Sivir game, which he did not have a great start. Rogue Warriors, though. Up in their top lane for Mouse, it is going to be the Gnar, and rounding up the comp in bot lane for Killua, it's going to be the Janna.
So it's the same bot lane we saw in the previous game, looking for more success than the side of Imp and PYL, trusting that they are the better bot lane than PYL, that they can play the same lane into a different matchup and find the better success, because they did not have the pushing advantage. They lost that tower early on to the Tristana, and they couldn't find the ability to get those multiple lanes of push that the Sivir wants, and the whole reason she goes for that teleport from, with the unsealed spellbook. So she switches to the teleports back to lane, makes sure that there's no damage on the tower. Instead, tower just got chunked to half HP, and she wasn't able to respond.
Now, this is a pick that we've seen pop up a couple times during the Demacia Championship at the beginning of January. Was this Rengar? It was kind of used as an answer to when those aggressive junglers were banned out. It was usually in response to a Kha'Zix, because oftentimes we saw that Jarvan being banned in the first rotation. Instead of going for that Kha'Zix, going to go for something a little more aggressive early, being that Rengar.
And so the Rengar, yeah, it's a pick that can snowball very effectively, and we know that currently in the works are those PvE changes to revert him to how he used to be. So this is an auto attack, is an empowered Q, and his Q is an empowered auto attack rather, and it increases his attack speed by using it, and you get the 5 stacks of ferocity again. But for now, it's that in combat, trying to get as many spells down in a quick burst as possible to be that massive assassin we know Rengar can be. And although we saw when he was initially reworked, people like Rainover playing him more the tank route, where you get that W to cleanse any CC on you and get out of fights so effectively, it's really going to be about how can he remove Sivir from the game and how quickly can he remove Sivir from the game with a Janna available.
That's going to be your main target. Can you get past the monsoon of the Janna? The crowd is hoping so here, as LGD at their home arena looking for their second series win after taking down RNG. We do see that Mercedes logo pop up in the center of the screen for a quick sec, and I can see the Rift itself. So it's going to be Game 3. Winner here decides the series. Rogue Warriors looking to try and answer back, try and bounce back off some losses. We'll have to see whether or not they can go 2 for 2, or can LGD do the same and try and tie up their season record.
So yeah, Rogue Warriors looking to make the push up to the higher tier of teams. That's a nice Mecha Rengar chroma.
That's a nice. I didn't even know they came out with chromas for that already.
Yeah, they were released with chromas, and there were chromas for Mecha Kha'Zix and things like that released at the same time.
Oh, that's so nice. Speaking of nice, Imp and PYL, they're gonna be happy. Already got themselves some extra gold on that Kleptomancy. They're already winning lane. It's easy as that. Now, if they do this, luckily Flawless can't really do a whole lot because he had to start that standard like he usually would on the Jarvan, and that's gonna allow them at least some early pressure, but not gonna find anything else.
I can only imagine from just the name Kleptomancy how the initial idea was set out. Maybe you could steal gold from other people, but not in this game. It's just working more on the
that would be hilarious.
Building of gold every time you use one of those Qs, you get that extra 5 gold. Can be very useful, but forcing Jarvan to then start on the top side, which is exactly what they want. It means that him and Rengar are matched across the map, as he's doing blue buff, Rengar's doing red buff now onto the Raptors, and it's going to be them both heading towards that bot side early on.
Maybe we'll see some mayhem. It's going to be a Mountain Drake to start things off here, and this is also a matchup we want to watch. Is doing be on his Kassadin. You mentioned the Iceborne Gauntlet. It's kind of his specialty. He likes to go tanky with this pick and become unkillable, but also still be an assassin because of the mana scaling. It's a little bit ridiculous. Imp even that's actually a first level spell shield coming out from SMLZ, so playing very defensively this time around.
So, important thing to note here when we're talking about the Iceborne Kassadin is that our 3 AD champions in the opposing team, he would be heavily justified in itemizing some his armor rather. But in the form of an Iceborne Gauntlet, I think we both have a friend who would say he's trolling.
Yeah, I know a certain caster goes by the name Ender would also feel like he's there's a reason his PUBG name is actually Render. It's just a bunch of Rees and then Ender. So it lives up to its name, and I love this. LGD, they understand, you know what, we had to be aggressive, and you know what can go toe-to-toe with a Jarvan early if I catch him out? It's a Rengar for Amy. So if he does catch out any members, even getting support from PYL and Imp in case he got caught out.
Playing around him very effectively is PYL, and I like what they're doing to ensure he has the best early phase as possible. And getting that extra gold onto him, getting the extra resources to be able to get him to level 6 much quicker is very important, but it has to come down to that first ultimate usage of the game. If he's able to get a kill with it, if he's able to get a flash with it, it can be incredibly useful, and that's generally where you can tell so much of the how the game's going to be for a Rengar, just that first ultimate of the game.
Try and catch out some members. Look for an early snowball. You do have Yuki already in that mid lane, having to go back. Actually went for the meteor, so he doesn't even have the opportunity to use that spell book and possibly teleport back to lane. He's going to be missing out on some minions and already falling a little bit behind. Flawless will be caught out by a ward as he makes an appearance up toward this top lane, but the Camille can just go ahead and slingshot her way out of there.
Yeah, just going to force the pressure off of the Gnar, so Gnar's more free to catch up in CS. He has been struggling thus far, down a fair amount, but Jinu, we've seen he's been a very strong top laner this series and has been punishing Maus quite effectively on these picks. So we saw in the first game how dominant he was in that Riven. In the second game, didn't really have any trouble as the Gangplankers, although the enemy team allowed it. Still played fairly well, was still able to pressure out Maus off as that Ornn and make sure he wasn't really able to get any advantages in that lane.
Maybe gonna go ahead and steal away. Actually, that's his own Raptors. I just saw the ward. So they are at least tracking the Rengar, and with that knowledge, even looking to play possibly safe, but Nuembi has to be a little bit careful here. Doesn't have that level 6, and the Rengar's gonna come right around the corner, lands the Bola, but isn't going to commit fully. Flawless is just waiting there for that flag drag combo to knock him out and turn it around.
Yeah, uses the Bola, knows the way, but
come on, Sid. Come on, no, that is not how we do it here on the unofficial English broadcast of the LPL off-stream games. Let's keep that kind of humor a little bit more privately. I'm okay with Knuckles and you know the way, but that's a nasty joke,
it's just he used the Bola.
He used the Bola. He did use the Bola. He got the.
And that's why he knows the way.
He knows the way. Okay. We'll leave it.
Okay.
Yuki, are you okay? He's just doing some fancy feet in the mid lane. Doing a little bit of a jig, having a little dance. Amy gonna be caught out.
You see him smiling off of it though, so
yeah.
He's down in CS, he is actually losing out to Doenby. Now he's hit this level 6 mark, Doenby's gonna be finding this matchup much easier. But still, you're expecting the Azir to be punishing much better at these early phases.
Yeah, and a lot of people just kind of taking some weird paths, to say the very least. Mouse up in the top lane has to be a little bit careful here. X-Tech Ultimatum is available for the Camille. Jinu already starting to lead in the CS, up about 16 gold, or 16 minions, so starting to get a couple waves in his favor, and gonna get some early vision on down toward that Tri-Brush, and just try and keep vision of Flawless when he does enter on it.
So Mao is running the Nullifying Orb to try and minimize the damage from that W and the Arcane Comet on top of it, interestingly. Is helping him survive the lane a bit easier, but we wouldn't really expect that in an AD matchup, so it's just choosing to adapt to the rune itself of the Arcane Comment. And it's working out for him thus far because he's not died, he's staying fairly healthy. He's just trying to scale up and be this big team fighter. Whereas we know Camille is generally more based around the side lane and her ability to pick off members should she find somebody out of position.
Mouse looking to try and push out the wave as much as he can, does get caught out, and that's going to be the Hextech ultimatum. And that's also the Rengar on top of him, but uses the Gnar ultimate to try and escape. Gets the wallop. He will trade 1-for-1 underneath the tower. First blood, though, going in favor of Jinu.
Really well played there by Mouse to even trade 1-for-1. But does end up going to be the kill on the Rengar. And he's going to get that first stack of the Bone Tooth Necklace to start getting that bonus AD. And then getting that little bit of gold back on the Camille by having the gold the assist.
Look at this, jump straight on in. Oh, Mouse. He's like, I'm almost got out of there.
He sees the jump, yeah.
Almost out
the really nice play by Jinu to, when he uses the E, he flashes to get that little bit of extra range and ensure he gets the knock up on Mouse. But the wallop, just as he dies, means that it was the 1-for-1 overall. And it's going to give him the ability to pick up that Jarum's Fist, a little bit of armor, and crank it back into the game in terms of being able to lane more effectively against Jinu.
Yeah, gonna have to apologize. I think I ended up calling that the Camille got the first blood there. It was in fact the Rengar. Flawless. Maybe looking for some kills of his own toward this bot lane. Kassadin, though, still in that mid lane. W2D5 does not have the teleport just available. Is already got himself that MR and gonna be building toward the Abyssal Mask, it seems. So gonna be a very tanky, and even saw Yuki already isn't doing a whole lot of damage with that Azir, and this is gonna be kind of the story for the rest of the game. He's gonna be tickling the Kassadin, to say the very least. See the rest of Rogue Warriors, though, looking to position themselves toward this blue buff, looking to steal it away and try and be on the offensive here in toward the bot side of the jungle of LGD.
And so Flawless, this is what we like seeing from him, getting into the enemy jungle, getting his own back, really, for what Amy was doing to him earlier on. But he's still behind in gold by quite a fair amount and needs to be able to find these plays to be able to catch up and start getting back into this game. As W2D5 just trying to scout out where Yuki is.
Oh, he's underneath 2 towers. He's actually going to just go and try and stall out as much as possible. Amy does get caught out, though, in his jungle. The Tom Kench is coming around the corner. Actually was denied by some CC, and W2D5, he's now in a little bit of a sticky situation. Has to be a little bit careful. Instead, wants to go for the all-in onto the Rengar. Stopwatch won't be able to save him from his fate, as W2D5 will pick up his own kill. And Imp comes around. That's going to be a Cataclysm used there. PYL flashing over the wall with the tongue, and here comes the Camille all the way from the top lane. No teleport available, but like that, it's going to be Rogue Warriors escaping through the jungle and picking up the kill on the Rengar.
Very effectively done there, and really nice teaming up on the aggression between W2D5 and Flawless. Flawless was coming around the side. He was scouting out the Rengar, but being able to hold off the Rengar long enough for W2D5 to chunk out Yuki. Yuki wasn't able to follow up on any of it with damage. They both collapse onto the Rengar and finish him off, having him gotten him to blow his stopwatch as well in the meantime. So this is what we want to continue seeing from W2D5, being this playmaker for his team, being the center of his team, both literally as the mid laner, but figuratively in terms of the fact that this is where they want to be making plays around him because he is the clutch player on this roster.
Well, Rogue Warriors positioning themselves to get that first brick goal down in bot lane, so gonna be a little bit happy with themselves. SMLZ on the Sivir starting to farm up quite a big advantage over Imp, almost a 30 minions, so about 5 waves going in his favor. So that is the majority of the gold, though, sitting across the board. Even a little bit of that lead still growing in the mid lane too for W2D5 against that Azir. You even saw him underneath the 2nd tier tower before even taking the first, looking to just delay the backs of Yuki and just try and prevent him from really having any opportunity to catch back up.
It's really been a really big showing for W2D5 in these last 2 games in terms of how well he can outlane his opponents. We saw as the Rise, he got a Flame Horizon over Nanju. In this game, doing so well against Yuki, even in a matchup that isn't really that strong from him.
I gotta interrupt you here, Sin. I see a double BF sword build on SMLZ.
Oh, is this the classic, the Legacy Lucian build?
The Legacy. I remember that. Are you just going for the full raw AD? maybe trying to just keep up the lead, try and push the advantage.
Well, I mean, he is one of the few champions that genuinely makes use of this.
True,
because he likes to go Infinity Edge and Essence.
Right now,
So,
you're just looking for raw AD, and then you get
Yeah,
that
I can see
bonus.
it.
You get the bonus attack speed from the passive on your ultimate whenever you you activate Ricochet. So, if they're able to maybe find some more kills, this could actually snowball huge for SMLZ. Instead, just going to be looking at that top lane tower and look to accelerate the pace of the game even more.
You can't beat up towers with attack speed. You don't do more damage with attack speed. You do more damage with damage.
You do more damage with damage. That is the perfect.
The boyfriend sword's going to be helping him do that.
The big boyfriend sword. Yeah, exactly.
Is it the best friend sword? Is it?
I think you're best friends with the sword. It builds into so many items, especially if you're an ADC. It's your best friend. It's one of your core items. Flawless toward this top side, maybe looking for a dive of his own. Imp and PYL still waiting in the wings. LGD. Though they had this Rengar get an early kill, we haven't seen any more of it, and you're starting to get to a point where it's going to be very hard to do much against Doinb with this Azir. Yuki's kind of just stuck in the lane, just trying to farm up as best as possible. Doinb is just going to keep on harassing him and really just being a tank this entire time. Emperor's Divide does come out. It does force the flash out of the Kassadin. Do have the Rengar ultimate pop-up. Look up toward top side. SMLZ and Killua still looking to pressure this tower. Yuki in the mid lane has to be careful. Going down to about half health. That's going to be Ignite coming out from Doinb. He's going to have the Rift Walk available in just a short amount of time. He himself will find the solo kill underneath the tower. Up in top lane, Mouse was dove actually make that bot lane. Looks like LGD, they want to try and base race this a little bit and try and at least pick up the tower and bot.
But by forcing Imp and PYL to respond to Flawless and Doinb, it does mean that they can still push top lane if they so choose.
Oh, MP's looking for that kill, does land the Mystic Shot, but does not have any more cooldowns available.
I feel like SMLZ was just wasting his time there. He should have been top lane trying to push that.
I feel like he could have too. We get another look at what happened here in bot lane with Mouse. He just kind of just gets dove.
It's just like, hi, bye. That's that's the life of Nara, unfortunately, in this game. Against the Camille, this is the life of anybody as a top laner. She's so strong at being able to lock people down, lock them in place, and stop them from really having that much of an impact. I guess the whole reason is they didn't feel like they had to base race it with the towers because they knew they already had the first tower goal on their side from that tower in the bot lane. They just had to be able to get the tower in the end.
I think the observers just realized there was a double BF sword buy coming out for SMLZ. I see them hovering it right now. They're saying, what's going on here? Either way, they did secure the second tower for themselves, so it does pay off, I guess, in their advantage. But LGD, they do at least secure the Mountain Drake here to start off the rotations.
And so now LGD, they're still well in this game. It's just got to be around how well Yuki can scale in if he can get to that point in the game
if he
where
even
we
gets
know
a chance to
compositions.
scale.
Oh yeah,
Look at this.
He's really chunked out. But this is really the case where you look at these two picks, Ezreal and Azir. And in this meta, have you ever seen a more iconic duo? Because they're both high skill champions. That are generally played by specific people. If you look at Katie, it's like Deft and Pawn being so effective on these champions. And you can beat almost any composition in the game just by outplaying them with these two picks. And it's just a case of getting to that point in the game where you can do that damage. But at the same time, if you're not skilled enough, you can just lose because you aren't getting into the game. You aren't being able to get any advantages for yourself when the champion is strong. And that's what we've really seen here from Yuki. He wasn't able to do anything with his early laning.
We'll see the pings coming out from Rogue Warriors. It looks like they just want to force this tower in mid lane, picking up the Rift Herald immediately, running it over to look to siege underneath the tower. Mouse might be looking for an ultimate, possibly onto multiple members of LGD. Instead, looks like they're able to respond, but that tower gets taken down super low. The auto attacks will not be able to finish it. It has a sliver of health, 61 health, so the breeze can come on by and just end up taking that one down. So LGD, they're able to save the tower, but only momentarily.
It's just, as you say, a swift gust of breeze is going to knock that tower down. And it is the Doinb Iceborne Gauntlet hero pool.
Oh boy. The tanky Kassadin that's able to
The
assassinate.
classic.
That's able to assassinate.
the whole point of this that I can agree with is he's already at 40% CDR off of 2 items. So he's getting the bonus armor to be able to survive the damage from the Rangar, from Jinu being able to lock him down in place. So that's really one of the big threats when he's active in a side lane. Jinu can just try and lock him down in place with Amy. Having the Iceborne Gauntlet to survive a little bit better is going to be so crucial in these later game stages, and having the ultimate on such a low cooldown already.
Well, here's we get to see about this matchup. If the Camille's not able to land the full combo on Mouse and he's in that mini-nerf form, he is able to actually trade back pretty effectively. When the aggression comes out here from Janu, you can see in that mid lane, Imp, he's going aggressive. He just never seems to be on the winning end of these trades every time we take a peek at him against the Sivir here of SMLZ.
Did you play Sivir when they initially buffed the Boomerang? Buffed it by far too much.
I loved it. That was the funnest day until it got hotfixed because I used,
just hours later.
Just hours later, but you laughed as you just chunked out your opponents, which is
the funniest one is when you see your opponent play Sona with the champion with the lowest health pool in the game.
Oh yeah,
and you have an ability that does 220 damage at one.
Yeah, it's a little nuts to say the base damage at level 1 should be that, as we have. It's
it was pretty fun, but with SMLZ we can say now that he has reached the Essence Reaver, now going towards the BF Sword. With the other route towards the Infinity Edge, as you can see, he's got the other part of the crew to give him the extra CDR at this point as well. So this is going to be paying off for him. To be honest, it's worked out. It's just a choice he has made to avoid the attack speed items until a little bit later, knowing that you get the auto attack reset on your anyway, knowing that, as you say, you get the attack speed on your ultimate. It's just allowing him that little bit more freedom to be able to push towers that little bit more effectively.
Gonna clear some vision up toward that top tri-brush, as Flawless will do the same here in the river with that zombie ward. Gonna get that one on down. We are still on 8.1, so the zombie ward nerf has not gone on through. It is just around the corner though. For those unfamiliar, it's just going to scale with your level, the time duration on the wards. So you're not going to get 3 minutes of free vision for clearing out a simple ward at level 1. It's been a dominant rune in the jungle, to say the very least. A lot of junglers have to splash into domination just to get that, because or else you'll lose out on the vision games. Speaking of losing out, possibly, Flawless goes down a bit low, but LGD, they might get turned upon. Doinby jumps on in, PYL, he's able to eat up the Kassadin, but is it enough? It's a trade, 1-for-1. Cataclysm onto the back line will assassinate for the double kill. Hextech ultimatum. Nar is stuck inside the pit, but guess what? It's a trade of 1-for-1, now down into a 2v2. SMLZ, he's able to pick up the 1 kill, but can he escape from the Camille bearing upon him? That's going to be the ace for LGD.
And LGD, it was so close back and forth, but the Gnar not being able to get anybody crucially with his ultimate is going to cost him. And then it's Janu showing up big, locking multiple members down, removing the Kassadin from the fight by getting onto the backline, removing Jarvan very quickly once he gets on in as well, and we're going to see it again. But this was very well played by him as he's hovering around the edge, waiting for his chance to engage. And the moment he sees a low member, he is in there. And he locks down Mouse to stop him from escaping, to get him as well. Instantly onto SMLZ, chasing him down, getting him out of the monsoon to reduce that healing. And even under tower, that's no escape for SMLZ.
No, there was a lot committed here from Rogue Warriors just to try and get rid of the Rengar of all targets. You saw Mouse's ultimate was used, Flawless even used his Cataclysm just to finish off the kill and a suicide mission. So you maybe want to try and use that onto a more primary target. Unfortunately for them, though, they all have means of escape. If that Arcane Shift is available for the Ezreal, you'll just easily pop out of there. If you have the Shuffle for the Azir, he'll be able to easily escape himself. So it's just kind of this wombo combo Rogue Warriors are looking for with the Mouse and the Cataclysm. Just not there yet, only catching out the 1 member. Doinby, he might be looking for a target of his own. The Tom Kench comes out, though, to help Imp and give him some support.
Yeah, they do force out the Abyssal Voyage to try and collapse back onto Imp. Very well played there by Doinby, just deciding to try and pressure him out enough, and always knowing where he needs to be on the map, and it's worked it out well for him thus far. But the Only issue is he's still lacking a little bit of damage because he's gone for this Iceborne Gauntlet route. It's better for sticking to people, but it's far worse in terms of bursting.
He's thinking about backing, but he's underneath the tower with just one auto attack, keeping it alive, and LGD are positioning themselves to look to take it. Actually trying to stay up toward this top side. Yuki's just going to walk up to that tower, though, and auto attack it on down. Even put up a tower of his own to give it a little bit of priority in that lane. Camille going to back on the other side of the map, and now we kind of go into our more standard style of play we've seen, at least here in Season 8 so far. Looking to just wait it out around the Baron, try and get some vision down, try and catch out one member of the enemy team.
We talked a little bit about the damage issues of Kassadin, but I still think it's amazing when we can talk about it. Like, this is a Kassadin that has one aggressively statted item that he's only just picked up. He has a full armor item and a full magic resist item, and yet he's still chunking people so effectively. That's pretty incredible, and there's very few champions that can do that, other than the likes of a Cho'Gath, which will just eat somebody with his true damage ultimate.
PYL just gonna lick away the ward here, the control ward, gonna be taken on down, secure some vision for themselves as LGD.
It's gotta be pretty nasty having to walk around the rift licking things, but...
Well, he is Tom Gensch. Like, you know...
It's an acquired taste, but...
It's an acquired taste. He's acquired the taste of wards. He's enjoying it. If you listen to his lore, man, he eats a banquet, I think, completely. Oh, yeah. Like the table and everything. So wood is still in his appetite. PYL, though, the death is going to be what he takes for dinner tonight as he gets taken on down. Imp onto the side. Janu gets denied access into the back line of the team, but it might not be enough from Killua. The spell shield is actually used on the Hextech Ultimatum, and that might be enough to actually take it down. But Janu, he's got some help from Imp, and he's going to be able to pick up a kill of his own in the end. It's going to be a 2 for 3 in favor of LGD.
Doenby ended up having to back off, still hovering around the side looking for something, but that's really well played by SMLZ to even get one back, fighting Jinu so effectively, but he's still such a huge threat, even when they use the spell shield to block the ultimate, even when they use an stun. It's still not enough, and we're going to see it again here as... Flawless is picked off at the start by Amy, and then we're just watching the fight from the other side. So we're seeing what Amy saw throughout that fight.
And he saw dead members of Rogue Warriors, and he's happy.
He saw some dead bodies.
He saw some dead bodies. He kind of walked over them. He's like, all right, well, I'll get a stack or two for my bone tooth necklace as he... That recall, I forgot what that recall looked like, and I was very confused seeing the Batman.
He turns into the Tumbler, yes.
Yeah. Sometimes there's just the wackiest skin sometimes. Either way, not a wacky game. We're here in Game 3. Both teams looking to secure a series win in their column to at least equal out the season so far. As Rogue Warriors sitting at a little bit of a tie in their conference. LGD are looking to at least even out their record at 2-2 at home. PYL has to be a bit careful, doesn't want to be the one getting caught out, and now the control just resumes around this Baron as teams now look to pace themselves and look for that end game goal of 6 items and looking for that big team fight or that one pick that'll open up everything.
This is the thing with Rogue Warriors now, with RNG faltering so heavily. I believe they lost a game to JD Gaming as well. It's given Rogue Warriors the opportunity to become the Beasts of the East, make that name for themselves, become a contender for that top spot in the Eastern Conference. So we've got to be looking at how big they can put up a performance here. And we saw LGD, they took down RNG themselves. We saw Rogue Warriors in previous weeks look very strong. So is this just LGD looking better, or are there the mistakes coming in from Rogue Warriors? Is it the fact that Rogue Warriors didn't have an aggressive enough early game in the previous game as Flawless that made LGD look better? And we have to start looking at this overall, and it seems to me that Rogue Warriors, they just haven't been playing as well in this early aggressive style as we usually see.
Oh, Flawless just gonna join the fray with Doomby. We'll get back to you there. The Cataclysm was popped and Mouse is behind the team. He actually teleported. He might be regretting this though, as Imp is looking to hunt him down. Gonna Arcane Shift on, and he's able to sidestep the Mystic Shock, and he's gonna get taken on down by the Mystic Shot of Imp as LGD. Now that they've taken down Flawless and Mouse, 2 of the big team fight ultimates are off the table. They might be looking at the Baron.
I think you have to be here, and now the team really hitting this point in the game where they can become active. We've seen how well Jinu's been playing and how well he's been punishing the members of Rogue Warriors, and this is going to be the Baron going over, not secured by Rangar though.
He's in the backline. He tried to assassinate Yuki, but he's not able to pick up the kill. And Rogue Warriors are now running for their lives. 5 members of LGD with a Baron buff, and beautiful patience there from the Camille, able to just wait out the flash and then latch on to her target. Just like that, LGD now have themselves almost a 9,000 gold lead at 28 minutes, 8 to 15 in the kills. Now with the Baron, let's see if they could crack down some of this freestanding gold around the map and maybe take an inhibitor.
Jinu showing such a high mastery of this champion, and now with having this massive lead on himself, having the GA completed as well, he can exist so self-sufficiently in a side lane that now the 4-man unit of LGD can sit in mid lane, pushing it up, pushing deep, and using the poke of the Ezreal with the safety of the Tahm Kench to be able to push down those towers, whilst Camille, we know, will just be winning out in the side lane consistently. If you can set up this 4-man unit to just go even, you know you're getting an advantage still.
And this is an important win here for LGD, because just taking a look here on the other stream, looks like JD Gaming, they're in a favorite spot here in Game 2. They might be looking at a rather interesting turn of events, and if you're able to take a series off someone on top of this, it's super important. PYL gonna pop his shield, gets knocked up by the flag drag. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 trade as Flawless goes for the kill. Meanwhile, though, Mouse is gonna catch out the Camille, but here comes Yuki on the Azir. We've seen what happens when this champion pops off. And Imp, he might be going for it himself. The 2 double kills in favor of LGD. They got minions in the mid lane. They might be going for the end.
This could be the end here. They've got the attack speed threat of the Azir and the Ezreal to try and chunk this out. And of course, 3 AD threats and the attack speed. This is definitely the turret chunking unit.
Mouse can't do anything. The Emperor's Divide comes out, and just like that, LGD are able to take Game 3 after an explosive fight in the jungle at 28 minutes.
And after a rougher early game than we saw previously, LGD is still able to come back. Azir is still able to get himself into the game and be this team fight threat. And Rogue Warriors gonna have to be thinking about what they could have done better, but really, it was just a much better team that we saw from LGD. Much better play than we've seen in previous weeks. So don't think of this as them losing to a bottom team in the league. LGD are proving that they can be this middle of the pack team.
And for Rogue Warriors, they were seen as, at the initial part here, before LGD did take their series over RNG, you know, one of the favorites, but like you mentioned, they wanted to try and become one of the beasts of the East. Instead, LGD Gaming, they've awoken, it seems, here after their last 2 series at home, winning back-to-back 2-1. They do go all the way to Game 3. They are able to take the victory, and that is what counts here. Even early in the season, all of these matches are important when it comes to placing in playoffs in a couple weeks.
And so, I believe this is their first home victory.
Second home victory.
Second was LGD versus RNG at home.
I believe so. I believe they won on the arena, if I recall correctly. So
yeah, so this is the second victory at home. Then they've managed to at least get 2-1 victories and even out their record at 2-2 overall. And that's going to be enough to at least sit in the middle of the pack. And it doesn't look anywhere near as bad as we would have expected this far into the season, having seen those early 2 weeks as LGD were really struggling getting perfect gamed consistently. As we're going to see the damage stats here coming
presented by Doritos.
Oh yeah, it's but look at Jinu here. This is incredible. Did more damage than an Azir, an AoE team fight at Mage, and a single target assassin is doing the same amount of damage. That's incredible.
On top of that, you'd see SMLZ, he was on the Sivir, tried to carry his team, and doing the same, but it just wasn't enough for Rogue Warriors to try and turn it around. And honestly, we're wondering, you know, LGD, they secured themselves the Baron. How long is it going to take to try and crack open the base? But instead, they just do it immediately and just end the game off one team fight.
And so now we have to be looking into what this means for the context of the league overall. And LGD now proving that they are not going to roll over and die to anybody who comes at them. And RNG wasn't just a flash in the pan. They've shown that they can do this to Rogue Warriors as well. They can do this to almost anybody in the East. So it's really highly contested now in the Eastern Conference. Anybody can beat anybody. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go from here.
Well, I'm excited, guys, to go ahead and take a nice little nap, as that is going to be the end of our cast this morning here in NA, or in the afternoon for yourself, Sin. I know you guys are just cresting over noon or so over there, so...
Yeah, it's 1:30.
1:30, you know, it's a nice way to open up your weekend, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. For us, I believe we're not going to be back on until next Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the schedule tomorrow. I believe the team does cover all 3 series on Sunday. They did last week, so it wouldn't be out of the question for them to do it again. With that being said, guys, we hope you enjoyed the cast, and if you enjoyed our commentary, make sure to follow us on Twitter to see where else we go ahead and shout and yell about video games. It's an interesting hobby, to say the very least. With that, guys, we're going to send it off, and we'll see you next time.
My eyes are close to shutting. This is the turning point tonight. Follow me into the sky. I'm glad these clouds are so high. I'm not jumping off of nothing. Follow me, I can change forevermore. Follow me, follow me. This is what you're waiting for. This is what you're waiting for. This is what you're waiting for. All in all, there's really nowhere else for you to go. All in all, there's really nowhere else for you to go. All in all, there's really